come on inside. Taking that ride to nowhere. We'll take that ride. I'm feeling okay this morning, and you know, we're on the road to paradise. Here we go, here we go. There's a city in my mind, come along and take that ride, and it's alright, baby, it's alright. And it's very far away, but it's growing day by day, and it's alright, baby, it's alright. Would you like to come along, and you can help me sing this song, and it's alright, baby, it's alright. There's a city in my mind, come along and take that ride, and it's alright, baby, it's alright. And it's very far away, but it's growing day by day, it's alright, baby, it's alright. They could tell you what to do, but they'll make a fool of you, and it's alright, baby, it's alright.
Hello, everybody. Apologies, I am just sharing this on Twitter. In the meantime, and thank you guys for tuning in. It is Thursday, so you know that means this week's news, and what a clusterfuck it is, as usual. Let me see. All right, so tonight I have a guest that I usually have monthly, but this is kind of more like a bi-weekly because he was having computer issues. So I'm like, nah, we're not waiting till next month. We're just going to do another show now. So thank you for joining us, Mr. Elias. Can you please introduce yourself?
Oh, thanks for having me. Yeah, I know with my tech issues, we're gonna take this in stages. I'm gonna come on every day and like for 10 minutes until we get a full show out of me. But yeah, no, Elias, my name's Elias Cepeda. I'm a journalist and a writer. Super happy to be back on, Joy. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I bug Elias like pretty much every day with my posts. I just bother him and I'm like, I ask him random shit a lot of times too. Like, you know how sometimes, well, if you do shows, sometimes you have a guest and you're just like, wow, I really like them. They're cool. And then you just kind of like pick them up and put them in your pocket. And you're like, okay, you're mine now. I'm just gonna like, you're like my new best friend.
Well, I'll correct you. You never bother me. I'm so glad we've gotten to start working together, and I love getting to chat with you throughout all the days. You help me process the stories. You know, we need that, right? We need to commiserate as comrades, all of us, to process, to survive psychically, to come up with new ideas. So no, it's been wonderful. I appreciate you.
See, he's very nice. We need more of that. So tonight we're going to talk about so much of the clusterfuck that's in the news right now. It's quite depressing and infuriating. Andy, I want to say the first thing I sent you is about Queen Hillary. Andy is my hero. He works on the back end when I do these shows so that, you know, because for those who don't know, I'm kind of, 85% blind. So, so of course, we all know what's going on in Texas and, the Supreme Court, abortion may be banned, things like that. Huge news, big deal. Absolutely. However, it always comes back to Susan Sarandon and Bernard. Always. They will trend hands down every time, anytime something like this happens. So I wanted to remind people that Miss Hillary actually picked a anti-choice VP with a long voting record of anti-choice and plenty of interview clips that say, it's against his religion, things like that. And Hillary herself even stated back in 2015 that she would consider doing more of an anti-choice unless a woman was raped or it was incest. So they kind of like to leave that out. Elias, what's your take when anything happens? It's like Susan Sarandon and Bernie.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's disgusting, and it's completely unhinged. It's as unhinged as, I don't know, believing there's like some time traveling uh, deep state person who's like working with God, Jesus, Buddha, and Donald Trump to take over the government. Like, it's as unhinged as anything. And you've been doing a wonderful job of reminding people of just who these Democrats are, that they're wishing were in office, even though we have a Democrat in office, even though Joe Biden has helped usher in multiple anti-choice, completely sexist justices in his time. Even though even though all of that, they still wish, if we would have had Hillary Clinton, things would have been much better. I mean, it's just absurd. It's ahistorical. It ignores who Hillary Clinton is, what she's supported, who she's allied with, and you're just reminding people of that is so crucial, so necessary, and it's hilarious. I mean, one, it's so, all these presuppositions are ridiculous, right? They're like, one, they think Susan Sarandon cost Hillary Clinton the election. I don't know where that comes from. That
She's
makes
the most
absolutely
powerful
no
woman
sense.
in the world.
Yeah, no, evidently, like, she's more powerful than Satan, Ralph Nader himself, apparently. Um, and they're like,
Absolutely.
one, they're assuming she cost her the election, which is ridiculous. Two, then they're assuming that Hillary Clinton would have done anything to set things up any better for women. And I think, I'll put it this way: like, we don't know what would have happened in hypotheticals, but we certainly, if we look at who she chose to run with, she was running specifically away from women's bodily autonomy and women's healthcare choices by choosing someone like Tim Kaine, and her own to just about any type of position that she thought would get her in office. So yeah, it's just completely deranged, and I think the real purpose is to just stamp down and scare others and say, hey, if we can get someone like famous and rich and popular like Susan Sarandon to be some type of pariah, if we can get someone like Ralph Nader, who has put more positive, like, life-saving policies on the books than maybe in anyone in American history single-handedly, along with his young people that he's working with over the years in his lawsuits. If we can get them to be pariahs, then we can really scare anyone from ever deviating from the chosen people that we allow them to choose from. It's really gross.
Yeah, it's like, do you think you're making me wish I voted for her ass by the way you're behaving? Because,
Right.
like, they don't even ask if you voted for her. Like, my heart goes out to all my burners who actually did vote for her against their gut and against their sanity, and then they just get blamed for it anyway.
Yep.
So fuck that. You're not making me regret anything. And
Nope.
how sexist is it to actually say that women are not strong enough to make their own decisions? Like, why do we obey someone? Why can't we make up our own choices? Like, are we that insipid that we just watch a movie star say, I'm not voting for Hillary, and we're just like, yes, Queen Susan, we will not either. Like, it's absurd, and it is so
Right.
sexist. What's that?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly seems sexist to me, right? Like, it certainly does. I mean, it's about as sexist as them assuming, that we would have get caught up in the cult of Hillary Clinton, that we'd be so excited that a woman was nominated by a major party for president, that we would forget, that she was a big cheerleader uh, um, when her husband was in the White House. A big cheerleader of basically the modern eugenics wing of the carceral system, and this whole idea of super predators of
right. So you're cutting in and out a little bit, but
brown,
yeah, I mean, you have
and black young men having no empathy, that we forget that she was too happy to work with Walmart. That she was too happy along her entire family and entire Democratic Party was too happy to ship out jobs, that she was that she didn't stand up for women's choices, that she was eagerly and vociferously going after victims or sexual impropriety, for them of the most ugly.
Yeah, we're losing you a bit. You're cutting out, but I totally agree. So like Hillary's supposed to be this feminist, and really like, yeah, I can hear you now. So like she bombs women, she bombs pregnant women, she does not support healthcare for everyone. She she does not she bombs plenty of countries. She accepts money from countries who treat women like absolute garbage. She is married to a rapist. I mean, this is the person you want to set a precedent just because she has the anatomy of a woman? Who gives a fuck? Like right now, we have the first woman VP, okay? And she's 27% approval rating. All of her people are quitting because she's a mess. She got 0 delegates. I mean, this is who is setting a precedent. So instead of trying so desperately to get a woman elected, let's make it a woman of quality so it actually does not hurt women who run in the future. I'm guessing you didn't hear me. You can put up the next one, Andy. Okay, so this is another one, people saying that, first of all, people are being presumptuous that Hillary would have won a second time, because right now we're in the second election. So people are saying if she would have won in 2016, we wouldn't be going through this. Actually, chances are if she won in 2016, she would not still be president now, because she's even more hated now. So the chance of her being reelected was very slim. So then you have this. You have Chuck Schumer, who, among other Democrats, just pushed conservatives through, but that's okay. We're going to ignore that. We have selective outrage.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Can you hear me now, Joy?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was hearing you perfectly. I don't know why you couldn't hear me. Sorry about that. I tried. But yeah, I'm looking at this. Democrats just confirmed lots of Trump's judges so they could skip down. Right. Yeah. No, I think that's absolutely right. It's more like presuppositions. And I think they're like, okay, she would have gotten elected automatically. And it's drawing these distinctions without differences, right? Like, okay, is it really that different if a woman is in office, if they follow the exact same type of, if they support the patriarchy in the same way? Is it really that different if a person of color is in office, if they support white supremacy? You know, I mean, I'm not saying it isn't different, but materially, it certainly doesn't help, in my view. And I also think there's ways in which it's more deleterious, right? Like, I think I'm not the first to say this, but there's things that President Obama was able to get done that John McCain would have never been able to get done. But we, so many of us had our sensors off a little bit because we're like, oh, we know Barack, or, you know, he's progressive, or he's trying his best. And so, you know, we allow him to expand upon George W. Bush's spy state, his drone murder program, allow him to expand the attack on press and their sources, things that others would not have likely gotten away with, or at least not gotten away without progressives and liberals sounding some alarms. When we have people that check certain superficial demographic boxes, but still kowtow to the same, you know, capitalist, patriarchal, racist program, they can do a lot more damage. They can be what Dr. Cornel West calls is basically mascots of Wall Street, like a black mascot, a woman mascot of Wall Street, a queer mascot, it's just one more like thing that is co-opted, and we're meant to think there's a real difference between people just because there's these like superficial distinctions, but it doesn't seem to play out that way so far.
And we're going to see that a lot with Pete Buttigieg because they're floating him as running next time. And, you know, identity politics is a thing. And hell yes, I want a gay or LGBTQ, you know, VP, president, anything like that. But I do not want it to be him. He does not give a shit about Black people, poor people, or anyone hurting. That's not a precedent to set.
Right.
But he's got that identity politics. He's young and everything. And it's like, that's what people go for.
It's a shame, or at least that's what like the party establishment goes for. I don't really know people who like Pete Buttigieg or Kamala Harris. Certainly they don't have many voters so far, but they definitely have like they're good at campaigning internally. They've got like, you know, the king and queen makers certainly like them, but yeah, I think they have to force these people out, and Pete Buttigieg has to like have people involved with the mainstream Democratic Party create an app that basically helps him steal a caucus, and then he declares victory like a banana republic leader propped up by the U.S. for him to get votes. You know, Vice President Harris got no votes when she was running for president. So they're trying to force these folks on us. And I think part of the reason, not that I want or care if the Democratic Party is successful, because I don't really care. They're just a corporation effectively and looking out for interests of oligarchs. But Democrats are definitely not doing so well like electorally when the more that they just prop up and shut down the. And I think we've seen in certain places of the country, certain counties and certain states, folks that voted, like white folks that voted for Barack Obama ended up voting for Donald Trump. I mean, I think we've had people that are just sick of believing in something like a Bill Clinton or believing in something like a Barack Obama than just having the same horrible, cruel policy shoved down. So I don't know if people are going for them. I definitely think that like they're trying to force it down our throats. We'll see. Maybe they can convince us to like, you know, some of the least charismatic individuals in the world. But so far, they don't seem to be doing a great job of it.
No. Andy, you could do the next one. Oh, can you read this?
Yeah, you want me to read it?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. So this is from you. Real feminism. Support women's individual choices, supporting them as strong, free thinkers. Fake feminism, shaming women for their choice because it's different than yours. Insulting women as being inferior because they do not obey you or they did not obey you. You don't want equality, you want superiority. Love it.
You're sexist for loving that. Yeah, I mean,
I'm sexist for a lot of other reasons, but that's probably not one of them.
You know, as a woman who's 42 years old, I have never been called sexist until 2015. And now I'm called sexist like every day. And it blows my mind. Yes, I am sexist. I hate other women. Yes, actually, I'm actually sticking up for women. Like, you know, Hillary and Michelle Obama stated, the only women who did not vote for you, Michelle said that, and Hillary said for me, are women who obeyed their husbands. I was like, holy shit. Like, I didn't vote for your ass, and my husband voted for Jill Stein, and I wrote in Bernard. So I didn't listen to anyone.
Look at that.
That right there.
I love. That's crazy. I love how Hillary Clinton can try to bash people for following a husband's line too much. Like as though she didn't put herself through indignity after indignity, as though she didn't go out there and then just help him smear women, including some minors that that they claimed he credibly sounding a lot of times sexually assaulted. There's no other way. It doesn't seem like I can't think of a way that Hillary Clinton could have kowtowed to Bill Clinton more throughout their entire professional careers than she already did. But women that vote against Hillary Clinton, who's not even strong on abortion rights, they must have obeyed their husbands. But Michelle Obama, and this bothers me because she's a Chicagoan. Michelle Obama is still trying to put out 1895 Black respectability politics. She's out there giving talks and telling Black people racism is real. It's our job to prove to white racists that we're worthy. So we have to go out there and do our best and behave. That's the most racist shit you can possibly think of. Black people have intrinsic value. You don't have to prove to anyone that racism is illogical or irrational or nonsense. You don't have to prove to them that that Black people can be good. But she's on this legit 19th century piece. That's how progressive she is. So it doesn't surprise me that she's got shallow feminism, because her racial justice sense, or at least her publicly stated values, are just really, really gross. I mean, they're more conservative than I don't know, Booker T. Washington or something. It's just really strange. It's really sad. I don't know that they believe that. I think they're just really. I think they're too smart to believe that stuff. I think they're just really brilliant careerists. The Obamas are going to be billionaires. Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton finally made money after not really having a ton. So I just think they just don't care. They're just down to shame anyone, so they can just propel their line, and they do well. Hillary Clinton can't she can't fail enough. Every time she fails, she gets a new $10 million contract. So I guess it's working out well for her.
Remember when she was doing her book tour, and she wanted $250 for tickets, and then it went down to $10, and nobody was showing up even at $10. That was amazing. Because nobody wants to hear you bitch and moan about how you lost. Okay, you lost because you spent over $3 billion. You had media on your side. You had the establishment on your side. You had.
I didn't know that.
And you still lost to the most hated man in the country because you suck. That's the reality. No one wants to listen to you complaining and deflecting everything on everyone else. And then I always think about the one interview she was doing when they're what do you want to say to Bernie Sanders supporters about voting for you? And she goes to incentivize them to vote for you. And she goes, look, I'm winning. So you just said you don't fucking need my vote. That's what you just fucking said. So guess what? You're not getting it. Period. You weren't going to get it anyway. But now you're really not going to get it even harder. Fuck that. The more people who say get in line, fall in line, Like, we are free thinkers, we are independent thinkers, and to say to us, fall in line, oh, there is nothing worse you can say to people like us than fall in line. Hell no. Sell me on her ideas, sell me on her policy, tell me a reason to vote for her. Well, she's a woman. You know what? Look, like Susan says, I don't vote with my vagina. I don't give a fuck, because Bernie was way more of a feminist than she is.
Especially if you're I would imagine, especially if you're
Oh, we're losing you again. Do you want to put up the next one, Andy, and hopefully we could get Elias back? So, a Hillary guy put this on a response to me, and it just epitomizes the denial. Yes, we don't like her. That's all it was. We don't like her. It's not that she's married to a rapist. It's not that she's a warmonger. It's not that she lied about being under Bosnian sniper fire. It's not that she stole billions from people of Haiti. I mean, none of that stuff is valid. It's because we don't like her. And this is just the epitome of what they say. It's just like butthurt emails kind of thing. Well, her emails, even though they like to gloss over that, having an illegal server, not so great. Sending things that were classified, also not so great. What the emails actually showed and exposed, do not try to minimize that, because she asked Donald Trump to run. They always, they refuse to acknowledge that. Well, the Russians hacked it. Well, first of all, no, they didn't. But don't get, she wrote the emails. I don't give a fuck if Satan himself exposed the emails. She wrote them. I don't give a fuck. That's my rant. Elias, back.
If you can hear me, I agree with you. I mean, I think all that stuff is immaterial. I think it's so sad that people, there's certain folks, they really have no interest in democracy. They really have no estimation for themselves. To think that the problem with these emails being leaked is that they were leaked, and then to make up that it was Russians, like, I don't care who did it. I'm glad they're out there. The fact that our leaders talk like this behind our back, the fact that they rig, primaries and caucuses and those processes is the issue. The lack of democracy is the issue. The lack of respect of leaders for us is the issue. And when people, if people hearing what politicians say behind closed doors to one another makes them not get elected, then good. That's good. You don't deserve to be elected then. If it was Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump together with Henry Kissinger doing it, I'd be like, well, I don't like you guys, but that thing you just did was good, because we should know what they're saying. And if a politician's policies, if their words, if their communications, if their strategies, if their tactics, if their philosophies cannot stand up to scrutiny, if they can't be received well by the population, then guess what? They're not going to get elected. I don't know where this sense of entitlement came from with Hillary Clinton, but I'm imagining it might have something to do with being, an elderly millionaire white woman from the Ivy League. Well, I'm saying, like, she's not some revolutionary, right? She's a suburban Illinois person that went to the Ivy Leagues, became a millionaire, and is a United States senator. Like, she's not an insurgent. She doesn't represent any revolution, right? She's the power establishment, and she told us that. It's right. It's like, good God, man. It's really sad, but yeah, she has a sense of entitlement that her this aristocratic idea, and she's not alone, of course, that it's certain people's time to go forward. I think it's really gross, and it's unbecoming of people or a country that pretends to have an interest in being a republic.
Absolutely. Oh my God, if we ruled the world, seriously. And you can do the next one. Oh, do you want to read this?
Yeah. So some joy. So you're quote tweeting. Let's see. It said, yes, 2006 sucked. 2016, excuse me, sucked, and it continues to suck. There's a meme. It says a heartfelt fuck you to everyone who told me I was overreacting in November of 2016. Yeah, and this is great. And Joy says sagely, I feel the same, but for different reasons. I had missed that originally. That's great. I don't understand. Yeah, like this delusion doesn't seem to help people. No one's saying that that it was okay that Donald Trump was going to be president. But
Exactly.
for them to believe that Hillary Clinton would have had fundamentally different policies on anything is delusional. Her immigration policy would have been the same. She might have been more hawkish on wars, like break it down country by country. And Russia and China, she probably would have been more hawkish. And North Korea certainly would have been. Her trade policy would have been, maybe not would have been as protectionist, but it certainly wouldn't have valued American jobs anymore. She would not have been any closer to supporting universal health care than Donald Trump would have been. She would have not devoted more funding towards education. It's just sheer delusion. Her and her vice president, Tim Kaine, who says baby Jesus tells them that women don't have the right to go to the doctor when they want and for what they want, would not have done a better job than Donald Trump on any issue that matters to me. I don't know about you.
Yeah, and an aside, but Tim Kaine's son voted for Bernard over them, so that says something. Because it was in an interview, and they were like, "So Tim, your son's 18 this year. Is he excited to vote for you?" And he goes, "He's feeling the burn, like a lot of his friends." And they were like, "So he's going to vote for Bernie?" And he's like, "Yeah, he's an adult. He can do what he wants. I don't take offense." I'm like, dude, your son won't even vote for you. That's how bad you suck.
Wow. That's crazy. Yeah, Tim Kaine. I mean, this is who they think are going to fire people up. Tim Kaine. That's hilarious. Yeah. I didn't know that about his son, but that's hilarious. Yeah, no one likes these people that they keep nominating. It's sad.
Yep. And it's funny because I always think of Tim Kaine when, at the convention, Bill was like, and he just kept falling asleep, and Tim Kaine was there like in front of him trying to block the camera. It was freaking amazing. It was so great. Like all you see is Tim Kaine's head like this.
Oh my gosh!
Awesome.
What a tool.
Dude, your wife is getting the nomination and you're falling asleep, and then she's like, "Oh," with the balloons and stuff. I was there, and that was one of the worst weeks of my fucking life because I was outside with 3,000 people for 6 days in over 100-degree heat, marching 8 miles a day. Of course, the news wouldn't have we were all there, but they had snipers on the roof at us. Like it was burners were in their signs ripped up. Like it was so bad. But you wouldn't know it from the news because everything's so happy. We're gonna coronate the queen. And people like to think we were out there as a hissy fit because our dude didn't win. But no, we were out there for democracy because we saw this shit get stolen firsthand. So it was, I mean, God, that week was, I call it Occupy DNC PTSD because that shit was, whew. And shout out to Joshua. You're the only one that kept my ass sane that week, I swear. My friend took a bus from Portland to come stay with me so that he could quell me because I was such a fucking mess.
That's incredible.
It was bad. giving your all to the campaign, first time in, you do anything politically, and then having it taken, if he lost fair and square, we deal with it. It is what it is. It sucks, but we deal with it. But having it just thing after thing, just cheating right in front of us. And then this time I go to for 5 weeks. I moved to Iowa by myself, no one. And I go there for 5 weeks to volunteer for Bernie. And I'm at a caucus site and I see Pete Buttigieg thing happen. So I'm like, you invest. Like, this is not just politically, this is personally. Like, you invest your heart and soul into a movement, whereas Hillary's just, we want a woman. Whereas us, this is like, this is, I made thousands of phone calls. I knocked on hundreds of doors. Like, this was my life. So that's very different. She had no passion.
Yeah.
And the sycophants you see of Hillary, ever see one that says, I made phone calls, I knocked on doors? Hell no. None of them did. They expect fall in line.
That's right. Joy, I'm curious, how many, and this is just anecdotal, like I don't expect a scientific answer, but either between 2016 and 2020 or between all that and now, how do you see a lot of your cohort working on Sanders campaigns? Did they drop out altogether now, or was it crushing to a lot of people that you've seen where they're just like, screw it, I'm not going to get involved, or did most people that you were around, just continue to get more and more active like you have and continue to persevere?
I think, quite honestly, I think 9 out of 10 of us are way more about direct action than electoral politics. I think a lot of us feel like, not that Bernard is some messiah or anything, but a lot of us feel like he was our last chance as far as, getting the amount of people together and pushing these ideas, because he changed politics forever. Whether you like him or not, he did. So a lot of us feel like they cheated him twice. They're not going to let anyone even slightly progressive win. They're just not. So I'd say at least 9 out of 10 of us have come to accept that. As bad as it sucks.
Wow, no, that's great. Yeah, but it's probably, but it might be accurate, and so at least realizing the accuracy of it is important, right? Like, because then liberals and stuff, they're still deluding themselves that we can achieve freedom through the ballot box, and they're not doing any good. So yeah, but that's interesting. That's amazing though, the work you put in, and to do it again in 2020 after not getting just betrayed or by the process, but also in a sense maybe by myself. I'm sure, like Chris Hedges says, like he should have walked out with all of you in 2016, and he's probably right. So that to persevere, that's like to say, from all of you, is it just really like a professional level of pragmatism, right? Like, hey, we think this guy who's drawing crowds can draw some positive attention to these issues and might go somewhere with it, so let's support him. Okay, that's good. If it's going well, let's try to win these battles. Let's try to do it electorally. Cool. Okay, they screwed us over. Let's demonstrate. Let's oppose this unjust system and draw attention to it. All right, now he's running again. We probably feel a little bit hurt that he didn't stand with us, but we're still going to support him again because we're going to be pragmatic and say, like, this is the best possible thing we can do in an election year. And then, now, like, he lost again. Well, we're not going to all jump off a bridge. Let's see what can we do. Okay, maybe electoral politics isn't going to happen. Let's organize around our own independent media and do direct action. Like, that's extremely pragmatic, and that's extremely that's extreme. That's a lot. That shows a lot of ability to be nimble, right? As a thinker, as a tactician, as an organizer. I think the people that are delusional or utopian thinkers are the ones who expect different results with the same candidates. So anyway, I would have voted for Bernie Sanders and all that if he would have made it an effect to my state, but I don't count myself as one of my supporters. I didn't do any work for him or anything like that. And so you all strike me for the most part as extremely pragmatic and willing to compromise and be tactical when necessary. I think that's very impressive.
Well, I voted for his ass anyway. I voted for him in 2016 and 2020 because I was like, I worked my ass off and I'll be damned if I don't get to vote for him, because I was very Eugene Debs that I'd rather vote for what I want and not get it than vote for what I don't want and get it. Like that was, after this, whatever. But those 2 times, that's the only time I've ever been political or been with a campaign or anything. And I was like, this shit changed my life. And I'm always going to love him for that. So that was it. And I'm glad I did, because look at what a shit show Biden is.
I know. Absolutely. The power of refusal is important. Like I tried to write about this some time ago, but like people, like the establishment, the so-called pragmatists will always tell others like, hey, you don't have a right to criticize unless you have a point-by-point plan for how to fix things entirely, or you'll know exactly how you'll be able to forecast precisely how things will go in the future. You can't criticize or tear down what's wrong now unless you can you can lay out a plan for how everything can be different and better. Until you do that, you can't criticize. And I think that's backwards, and I think that's convenient for the establishment. And I also, I just think it's completely anti-democratic, and it ignores our first and I think our biggest power as normal citizens and normal people, I should say, and that is the right to refuse. Most of us are not going to be able to wield power, like push a button and people get fired or hired, or a missile gets launched. Usually, whether it's in our interpersonal circles or at work, or maybe with voting, we can the most important thing we can do in a crazy world, in a world run by the powerful for the powerful, that's trying to exploit us, is to say, no, I won't do what you want. No, I won't choose between the choices you're giving me. Now, just because we don't have other power to immediately do anything else doesn't mean we shouldn't do that. That's our most immediately available power. That's always available to us, right? We might face consequences for it, but that's always with us. And I think people that say, hey, maybe there is no one to vote for left, let's say in the general election of a presidential campaign now, right? But there is a value to saying I'm not voting. I'm going to refuse to vote for either Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. I'm going to refuse to vote for either Donald Trump or Joe Biden. I'm sorry, but that's powerful, to reject what the establishment has given you, to say I refuse to vote for any war criminal. I refuse to vote for any rapist. I think that any racist, I think that's a powerful thing. And they want us to say, no, you can't do that. That's being immature. You have to wait until what? Wait until, something perfect comes along, or they say, well, you can't wait until something perfect comes along. You just have to constantly choose between two people that stand for the same thing. I think it's absurd. I think the power of refusal is something that all people always have. And I think that's what makes it, profound and powerful. And I think we need to start with that. We'll never build anything if we continue to just choose between the options that are given to us. We'll never build something better. We'll never be able to improve. That's one of the things that, I would disagree with like the likes of, let's say someone like Dr. Noam Chomsky, who, I don't really care. And I don't think people need to go to him for electoral advice, because he's not an expert on that. He doesn't seem to have any real insight into that. He has insight into a whole host of other things. But people always get on him because, he's a complete dissident, and he's amazing. And then every 4 years he tells us we have to vote for the Democrat, once the primaries are over. And I never understood why he thinks doing what we've always done will give us a better result. And it's always kind of strange. But yeah, I don't know, the power of refusal, the power to say no, like you said, like, I don't care. I put in work. I don't give a shit. I'm still going to vote for him regardless of if it's going to count or not. The power to reject Joe Biden and reject Donald Trump. I think that's a powerful That's a powerful thing, and realistically, it's probably the only power we have. Oftentimes, is to refuse.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very fuck you. I won't do what you tell me, which is awesome.
That's right.
Andy, do you want to put up the next one? This is I think you may have shared this, Elias.
I did. I definitely stole that from whoever was sharing it and posted it too. This is great. This is a real quote from Joe Biden. Not from like this year, but from when he was a grown-ass old man and understood what he believed in. He says, "I think it," referring to Roe v. Wade, went too far. I don't think that a woman has the sole right to say what should happen to her body. It doesn't get any more explicit than that, right, Joy?
Yeah, and that smirk, I just want to pop him. Like, I want to corn pop him. Like, that smirk. He looks more and more like W every day. I can't take it. Granted, I can't see that well, but he looks like W.
No, those guys all look the same. That's true.
Yeah. Right. They all old dudes with smirks. Andy, you can show the next one. Oh, can you read this one?
Yeah, it's slow to pop up on my end, but let me as soon as it pops up, I'll read it. Hold on. So, it's not showing for me yet. Yeah, it's still not showing. Is it showing for you, Joy?
Yeah, I can read it if I put my big old head up in it.
Sorry, yeah, it's nothing. It's still like I get like the loading spiral.
I posted sober clear. Susan Sarandon did not ask a pro-lifer.
Hold on. I can see it now. Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So this is great. I retweeted this. So Joy's saying, so we're clear. Susan Sarandon didn't ask a pro-lifer to be her vice president. Hillary Clinton did. Susan Sarandon also did not endorse 2 pro-life candidates in 2020. Speaker Pelosi did. Your deflection and selective outrage is deeply unserious. I love that. That was awesome.
I just can't take it. I'm like, oh my God, stop. Just stop. That's why they call me Savage Joy, because I'm like, listen, motherfuckers. Andy, you can do the next one. But yeah, none of them said shit when Pelosi endorsed those 2. How are you a Dem and a pro-lifer? That just shows that these letters mean nothing. Absolutely nothing. What else we got?
That's right.
Can you see that one?
It's still loading. I'm sure it'll load for me in a second. It hasn't popped up yet. It's my wonderful internet connection here at the Academy is slow. But I'll read it as soon as it pops up. The last one took me a second, but it eventually popped up. Let's give it a second. Let's see. It's still loading.
You don't want to see the picture anyway. Just ignore the pictures.
I think the magic trick was when you started trying to read that it loaded for me. I don't know. That was annoying. Sorry.
That's true.
Yeah, it's still loading for me.
It says
it still hasn't popped up for me. Sorry.
For as much as Hillary fans hate Trump, you'd think they'd care more about the fact that she asked him to run. You are the company you keep for decades, nonetheless. She sure looks repulsed by him. And she's like, she's always like, oh my God, you're my best friend. Smoking. Andy, you could go to the next one.
Joy, was that the one where you had the photo of Hillary with Trump like decades ago, and then again at his wedding?
Yeah. Like, oh, I guess he just, recently became a racist, rapist, pig, because he wasn't that way for the decades they were friends. So he just became that way, I guess. Because, why would she be friends with someone like that?
That was amazing.
Can you see the new one that came up? Can you see this
That's
new
right.
one?
That's right.
All right, there we go. So Ghislaine,
that's right. He, before we ever knew who Donald Trump was, like, no, it's not showing for me, which is annoying. But yeah, he definitely. I'll give it a second. No, not yet. It's not showing for me.
Andy, do you want to read it?
Sure. Sure. I had to fix my hair, before I came on. Okay. Ghislaine Maxwell, opening statements Monday in the federal trial, law and crimes. Class-Feld reports will be reporting from the courthouse. Remember the false memory expert called by Robert Durst? She'll be testifying in Maxwell's trial.
Got this shit. False memory. They are trying to make her out to be like Stockholm Syndrome and shit like that. And the thing about Stockholm Syndrome is you have to first be kidnapped to start caring for your kidnapper. She was never kidnapped. She did all this shit willingly. And seeing people be apologists for her absolutely reprehensible actions is disgusting. So now this is why people don't come forward, because false memory. Are you kidding me? So 40 people who have reported this are lying, all of them.
Yeah.
So the question is she gonna get suicided?
The most over critiqued book of recent history is 1984 for obvious reasons, but this is so Orwellian.
It is.
When you think about it, with the false memory, right? Don't believe your ears and eyes, just believe what we tell you.
Yep.
It's the next bastion of neoliberalism and capitalism, right? We have to tell you what you must consume and what you can believe and what you can't believe, because that's the only real
power.
It's the only real thing that capitalists haven't tapped into yet, right? Is the mind control on a complete 100% level, right? Like, I mean, there's always been subliminal advertising and messaging and coded messaging and all that stuff, but it's just so scary, right? Because we've dumbed down society and we give them their own opinions. We've taken away their ability to make their own, and it's a very scary thing. And on that note, I'm leaving. Bye.
Okay. You can show the next one. I've known Andy for years. He's my buddy. He helps me out. Let's see. Okay, so here's Miss Chelsea's wedding. What's that?
I said Andy's kicking ass.
Yeah. Here is Miss Ghislaine. And why is she there without Jeffrey Epstein? Because Jeffrey is actually serving his time in prison for the first time for being a pedo. So yes, they know that her boyfriend / best friend / associate is in prison right now for that. However, she's not in prison. So they just have her at the wedding anyway, up front in the front row, enjoying herself. Isn't that?
And if it wasn't for Susan Sarandon, we'd have these wonderful people in charge to this day.
Yeah, absolutely. He'd probably make Ghislaine fucking Secretary of State or something.
Ghislaine would be in charge of child education.
Oh God. Yeah, that. Oh.
Interesting.
We're going to hell for making that joke. We really are. Andy, you can show them.
I'll see the Clintons there because they're going to hell for having her at their wedding.
No, we're going to the fun hell with the rock and rollers and stuff like that.
That's right.
Hell, we're going to like purgatory. And they're going to hell. Like, she's already Beelzebub. She's going to see her relatives. They're going to hang out and be completely tortured, and not in the way they like. We're going to be in purgatory with all the cool people, and all the like bad things will be fun. So it's not really hell. This is what I'm telling myself. So here is, yay, Elon Musk. So, stop talking shit on Bernie, because every time you do, I'm just going to keep putting this in your comments. Anyone rich and powerful, if you look at these flight logs, holy shit. I mean, holy shit. Prince Andrew, Bill, Trump, we know all these, and Elon, but there's also Chris Tucker, Alec Baldwin, Tony Blair, the list goes on. It is absolutely incredible. There are literally over 300 names. This is bad. But here's the kicker. They made it in the trial so that none of these names can be mentioned. That is unjust. That is bullshit. So they're going to be testifying and they're going to say, a man, even though it might have been Slick Willie, or a woman, even though it might have been Hillary. Like, they are not allowed to use anyone's name. How is that fair? So I don't know.
That's crazy. The amount of discretion like prosecutors and judges have is absurd.
It's disgusting. It is so. These women are so damn brave. And, there's been 30 to 40 accusers, and this trial is about 4 of them. So, also, these, when Epstein was arrested, and damn it, I keep saying his name, and they're probably going to take me down. I meant YouTube, but you never know. If Hillary finds out about this show, it was nice knowing you guys. But when it comes down to the trial, they are doing their best to victimize the victims, as usual. And it's, you're having 4 people out of 30 to 40 accusers. When E went to prison the first time, she should have went with him, but she never did. And now that she's in prison, the day after she was arrested, the very next day is when Matt Gaetz story broke. Very next day. And then they came out with Matt Gaetz and said, well, we've been working on this story for over a year. So ask yourselves, why did they talk about him the day after Ghislaine got arrested? It's because she has connections to people like Bill and stuff, and they don't want that shit in the news. Also, why did she get arrested now? Why not 2 decades ago? Well, the reason is because now there's proof she was with Trump. Everyone hates Trump. Now, it's not just Bill, so we can obfuscate and put Trump in there. And then now it's okay. Now, we can just focus on Trump. As you see with shit libs, they always put pictures of Trump with E, and never the many with Slick Willie, even though he was on the plane more than anyone else in the flight logs.
Joy, and I know you've seen this. I mean, what do you make of the corporate media's already attempts to, as the trial is getting started, to say that Ghislaine Maxwell is a victim, that maybe she's a victim of Me Too, that she was, and this is what the jury's going to have to think about, is that maybe she's also a victim, just like these children that were trafficked.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that's so repulsive is, like, I've seen the documentaries, I've listened to the podcasts from journalists, things like that, the one podcast I listened to, it's called Chasing Ghislaine, and it's a woman who interviewed E every single day for over a month, and she clearly points out that Ghislaine used to go to private schools and like recruit young girls, and take them for coffee and stuff, and she's beautiful, she's rich, and people know who she is. She's like this socialite. So you're like a 12-year-old girl, 13, 14, and this person comes up to you and says, hey, you could be a model, come out with me, we're gonna get coffee. And they're best friends with the Victoria's Secret guy, and you start telling them, you could be a huge model. You are gorgeous. Look at your skin. Look at your hair. Look at your figure. And they start befriending them. And they go out to lunch all the time for like a month. And then all of a sudden, now, let's go to E's house. He wants to meet you. And then it turns into E wants a massage. And numerous times, Ghislaine was in on the action. So no, it's not like she always just stood by. She was the one who literally recruited the girls and sometimes took action on it. But he wouldn't have been half as successful as he was were it not for her doing the recruiting. She was a pimp. Yeah. That's what she was. She was a pimp. She groomed them. Oh my God, I can't wait to introduce you to so-and-so. I know Prince Andrew. I know Bill Clinton. And next thing you know, these girls are so young and they're like, really? Oh my God. And that's all they have to do. It convinces them. I mean, as a young girl, I would have fallen for that shit so easily. I mean, she was equally as responsible as him. I mean, without question. So yeah, I mean, I think the reason they're saying that, honestly, is because of all the pictures with her and Bill and stuff like that. I think that's a huge reason. Also, the one article was Bloomberg, and Bloomberg has pictures with her, so
that's
that
right.
makes sense.
Yeah, no, certainly, no, that makes sense. Yeah, no, thanks for the perspective. Yeah, I mean, I feel like because I think you're right. It's a bad faith. It's not like they're sincerely positing that. They're just trying to protect their bosses, probably. But like, let's assume someone was making like a sincere argument. That'd be based on what? That like the idea that she was being abused by Jeffrey Epstein psychologically, physically, or otherwise, and then he manipulated her to do that. Okay, I don't know if that happened, but I do know she was an adult. So there's no way she could have possibly ever been an equal footing as the children that they're saying she recruited for trafficking and for rape. So like let's say Epstein I don't know, you'll have to explain to me. I'm not savvy on YouTube, but let's say her partner was bad to her and manipulated her or something, or pressured her to do things. Yeah, I'm sure that's not good if that happened. We don't know that happened. But also, she was an adult, so I think it's disgusting that they would put her on equal footing in terms of victimhood with children, because at least she was an adult and she had the agency as an adult to say yes or no. Where these children literally didn't they couldn't possibly have ever had the same amount of agency as she did. Can you really get in trouble for saying his name? I don't know. I don't know these things.
Yeah.
Like, will you get like what happens?
Sometimes my stream drops, and sometimes I get like warnings and stuff. That's why I went on Rockfin, because like certain things you can't say, or YouTube's like ban hammer. It's like we're all conspiracy theorists, white supremacists, crazy people, deep state. Andy, you can do the next one. What's that? Oh, can you read that? Do you see it, Elias?
Yeah, it's actually showing. Yeah. All right. So this is from Joy. Leave your emotional responses out of this thread. I want to know facts of what Biden has done better, not talked about, than Trump. In parentheses, he kept kids in cages, has deported more people, kept awful trade deals, wants to privatize Medicare. He's offered no public option, and he's removed the insulin subsidy. What is, quote unquote, better? Nicer tweets? A D next to his name? Fuck Trump and fuck Biden. Tell me otherwise with facts.
So this,
I can't think of any.
I can't, and it's not just because I don't like him, and it's not because I don't want to know. Like, I was asking this question in good faith. I really was. So there's 52 comments. A lot are still emotional, even though I gave the caveat. There's shares that say, well, at least he's not rude. Stuff like that. It's absurd. It is absolutely absurd. He's been in office for 1 year next month, and he has not done shit. Trump even gave us more stimulus money. I mean, this is bananas. Wait, you can't think of anything either, Elias?
That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
Andy, you can go to the next one.
No, I literally can't. I mean, he's giving less, like you said, he's given less. Democrats have given less direct cash aid. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he has the ability to pass executive orders. He can't even sign a paper. I mean, he probably forgets his name, in fairness.
You're right. He can forgive student debt.
The next one. He's like signs
he can nationalize
the
production.
Other Joe Biden. Can you see that one?
Cool. Yeah. All right. So some Joy says, yeah, Cuomo is in quote unquote suspension. Chris Cuomo. But it popped. Okay, here we go. But I want to know if he's getting paid with benefits, if he's terminated as well. Don't be surprised if there's a severance and or book deal. Yeah, that's right. They haven't talked about that. I don't think he's not getting paid just because he's in suspension.
Yeah, I agree. And, he's very much like his brother in that I'm sorry they feel that way. I'm sorry they took it that way. Like, there's no ownership at all. I asked Donna Brazile if she, mentored Chris Cuomo. She has not yet responded. So I don't know, but I feel like they know each other. They must know each other because they're doing some shit together. What's your take? When you saw, I mean, like, honestly, most of us figured this for a while, but then when the news finally broke, what were your thoughts? Uh-oh. Ruh-roh. Andy, you could go to the next one. Oh my god. This is like it's a game. It's like will he be able to answer? Will he not be able to answer? Dun, dun, dun. Good thing I at least entertained myself.
10 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's certainly, the details of him doing opposition research on victims of his brother is bad, but it definitely is not surprising because everything they were.
Andy, you can go to the next one. What's this? Oh, okay. So yeah, this is the last one. The other ones are just joke ones I like to end on. Andy, can you read this?
Okay. News from DSA Palestine. They're calling on DSA to formally begin the process of expelling Rep. Jamal Bowman. Tonight, Rep. Bowman has once again crossed what we communicated is a hard line for our working group and our movement partners by attending a J Street U Town Hall.
This is awesome. What's that?
Da da da.
Whoa. This is awesome. I didn't even know DSA had a Palestine, group, so to say, but this is incredible because they, the squad acts like they're so big on Palestine, and then they totally, bend over to give Israel more money and work with J Street and shit. Like, sorry, that's not progressive, nor is it okay. And we had International Palestinian Solidarity Day 2 days ago. So yay, solidarity with Palestine. So this is good. This is very good. However, why aren't they doing it with AOC? Because she herself has voted to give more money to Israel, things like that. So, I mean, if you're going to do it for one person, yeah, maybe she's not meeting with J Street, but let's, be a little consistent here. Elias, what's your take on that? Can you hear me, Elias?
The same thing. I was like, oh, so I'm assuming they did similar things for other members of the squad. They made calls for this for them, but I guess that's strange. Can you hear me, Joy?
Oh, I didn't realize they did that. I mean, that's a big deal to talk about expelling him. That's a big deal. And yeah, I think they fucking should, because that is a direct conflict of interest.
No, I was wondering if they had.
Oh, yeah, not to my knowledge. I tried looking it up and I have not seen anything as far as them going down on anyone except Jamal. And this is the second
definitely.
time. So
I think they've been.
Andy, you can show the memes at the end of each show. I like to show a few silly memes just to leave on a fun note. So Andy, you can show those. Sorry about the tech issues, guys. This is true. Very true. You don't have to leave it on the screen that long. Oh my God. This is so true, you guys. I love you all so much. This is fucking true. We can be our misfit selves. It's so much better. And I think there's one more. Charities. All hail the queen. So, Elias, where can people find you? Please tell us. Can you hear me? Ruh-roh.
You just have to wait. He's just on a major delay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So just give him a second.
Where can people find you? You can follow him on Twitter where he won't have tech issues. That's his Twitter right there, at Elias Cepeda. And you can find him on Substack. He writes awesome articles. That smile.
Well, evidently not on the fucking internet, because my internet connection is so bad here.
I just can't hear deep.
Seems to be. You there? Hello.
Yeah, just give your lowdown. I gave your Twitter, so give your
yes, no?
all your other fun stuff.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, give your contacts.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I'm gonna be kicked. I'm gonna be kicked out. That's basically it. Yeah, no, that's it. You can find me on Twitter. I need to get over to the Comcast store and figure out what's going on with my internet. That's what I need to do.
Yes, please. Oh my god. Next time we do a show together, just like stand outside with like a wire hanger and just like see if maybe that works. But I love you so much anyway, and I will gladly have you anytime. Thank you guys so much for watching. Tomorrow night I am going to be doing a new show exclusively on my Rockfin. I'm doing a true crime show every Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern. So come check that out. I'm going to be joined by two of my comrades, Felice and Amira. And it turns out all three of us love true crime. So the first one we're going to be taking on is, of course, Ghislaine Maxwell. So again, Rockfin only tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern. Thank you guys so much for watching, and please give Elias a follow. He's amazing. And thank you so much for joining me.